All right, guys, we just hit the 2-minute warning. San Fran has the ball. They're running the clock out. I don't think we're going to get the ball back. And even if we do, there's not enough time for anything to happen. So, game's over. We're not going to win this game. 28-16. And honestly, I was planning on doing like a kind of a bit in this video. I was planning on doing some kind of a theatrical sort of video after after this game when we inevitably lost because we all knew we were going to lose. But honestly, I don't really feel like it after that one because, I mean, what do you expect, right? What do you expect? You play a game with your backup quarterback on the road against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Like, what do you think is going to happen, right? So, for me to get on here and act all angry or disgusted or really, really, just get really emotional about it, it'd be fake. It'd be fake because that was not that bad of a game, all things considered. And when you've got your backup quarterback in there against that defense, you can't really expect to win. You can't even really expect a good performance. And honestly, what we saw today was, I don't know if I would call it good. There's definitely a lot of stuff that isn't good. There's definitely a lot of stuff that highlights the general incompetency of this team, but I don't feel like it's anything to really get mad about. I just kind of feel like it is what it is, and we move on to the next one and hope we do better next time. So there's not really going to be any anger here. There's not going to be any disgust here. There are some things that definitely warrant a little bit of anger, but overall, I think 28-16 is a relatively fair result given the fact that we were going in there without our starting quarterback. So, yeah, I'm not going to say I'm proud because I'm not. I'm not going to say that I'm happy with these results. I'm not going to say that like, oh, I feel really good about the way the Seahawks played today because I don't. But I'm going to ease up a little bit right now. Just a little bit, not on every level, but realistically, they've died with their boots on. I think most Seahawks fans can agree they died with their boots on today. Playing a better team, better players, better coaches. Like they're just better than us in every way right now. And honestly, given that, I think that we hung in there about as best as could be hoped. So yeah, if you came here looking for me to get all angry and over the top and do some kind of a bit, it's not really going to happen today. I I'm just kind of happy this game is over with and the team at the very least showed up on some level. So let's try to talk about this the best that I can, understanding that it's difficult to evaluate the overall product when you've got your backup quarterback in there, but let's start with that backup quarterback. There was some pretty decent stuff out there from Drew Lock today. I'll give him some credit. When he got the call as the starter in this game, my initial thought was, oh, this is going to be really bad. We're going to be lucky if we score. And he goes right down the field on the very first drive of the game and strikes for a nice touchdown toss to Metcalf. And for a couple minutes there, it looked like maybe there was going to be some happy miracle with these Seahawks, right? Because we've been dealing with a lot of tragic miracles lately. This might be like, oh my God, Drew Lock is actually good. All the evidence that we've been given over the last couple years that Drew Lock isn't a very good quarterback, throw it out the window because he's actually really good. And now he's going to lead us to some big upset win on a day when there were a lot of upset wins across the NFL, honestly. And I don't think he played terrible after that or anything. There's definitely a lot to be desired. The illegal forward pass was lack of awareness on his part. He definitely missed a few throws. But again, like, what are we going to do? Sit here and criticize the backup quarterback for not playing perfectly against the 49ers defense on the road in his first start in, what is it, 2 years? Almost 2 years? Like, what's he going to do? You need your defense to show up in a big way in this game to have any kind of a chance to win, and that's not what we got. We got a defense that was well below average. So Drew Lock, I tip my cap to him. He put together a few successful drives. We put up 3 scoring drives, 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and if you told me going into this game that Drew Lock was going to lead your team to 2 touchdowns and a field goal, I would say that's just going to have to be good enough. And I'm not letting ESPN do this to me today. It's not happening. So, yeah. So there is nice. He didn't get much support from the running game. Charbonnet had the one drive in, I think it was the late in the first or early in the second, where Charbonnet actually busted off a couple of big runs, but other than that, we couldn't run the ball at all. Um, the offensive line, they looked good for a little bit there, but then as the game went on, we definitely wore out. We saw Lucas give up stuff. We saw Cross give up stuff. We saw the interior give up stuff. It was like, a duck, duck, goose game of which offensive lineman wants to embarrass themselves on film right now. And over again, it was always just one guy, right? Like everybody would be, yeah. See, this is why I hate ESPN. Their page keeps refreshing and it keeps trying to force the auto player down my throat. Whatever. I mean, that's hardly the thing that is causing me the most frustration right now. But yeah. So we didn't give him a ton of support, obviously. So I tip my hat to Drew Lock. He played much better than I thought he was going to. Got the ball to Lockett really well. Had some great plays to the tight ends also. And that's kind of where the positive stuff has to end because there was some stuff that didn't really make a lot of sense to me in this game. A lot of run, pass. I understand that you're dealing with a backup quarterback, but run, pass is not really going to help you when your running game is this inept. And we had a lot of drives get killed because we tried to go run, pass. Metcalf has a monster first drive, and you go away from him after he catches the touchdown. He doesn't catch another pass the rest of the game. He doesn't get another target until like late in the third quarter, I think. When Charvarius Ward got injured in the on that first drive, like the 49ers lost their best cornerback, and DK Metcalf spent most of this game being covered by a cornerback who's much smaller, and you see it on the tape. He's getting open. He is 100% getting open on the Niners secondary, and you don't throw him the ball. And then at the end of the game, when you finally do, it's on plays where he's actually double covered. So that would be the one thing on this offense that I think is a big disappointment. I think that when you take a look at how this offense was run in terms of like schematics and decision making, things do break down. But again, it's a backup quarterback. I'm not surprised that Drew Lock has a little bit of panic in him and doesn't think I should attack the Niners secondary at its weakest spot right now, which is I need to go for DK Metcalf a bunch. And by the time he started going for DK Metcalf, it was too late. I think that Waldron definitely did a better job this week than he has most weeks this season in terms of scheming up plays. Like the touchdown throw he had to Colby Parkinson was an absolute thing of beauty. The double fake screen and then goes back to the middle of the field. By the way, we went to the middle of the field and we were able to get 7 points out of it. Like maybe that's something we should do more often, although I have a distinct feeling that's not going to happen. But hey, you would think that seeing a little bit of success in that area of the field would motivate this team to maybe go back to stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think we all know that when the game is on the line, we're going to continue to work the boundaries, not the middle of the field for some reason. Even in this game, you saw it. Like you see success on a play like that, and you wonder why they don't do stuff like that more often. And even when they do throw it outside, even when they do throw it outside the numbers, they're not abusing the Metcalf matchup that should be easy to exploit. Like the 49ers don't have anybody that can keep up with Metcalf when Ward is not in the game. And yet you made this game about other players. And not to hate on the guys that he did target, because Lockett had a very good game. I thought Fant made a couple nice plays. We saw some good stuff from Parkinson, but come on, feed DK. So that's the offense. I mean, we can't. I don't think we can really hate on the offense too much in this game. We actually won time of possession in the first half, by the way. That first half, we actually won time of possession by like 3 minutes or something. So any belief that anybody has that this defensive performance is the part of the offense, like, is just categorically wrong. This is another game where the offense actually provided a little bit of support to the defense, and the defense still fails to perform. Now, in this game, we did force a couple turnovers, and we did get a few sacks. That's about the nicest thing I can say, because this is the second game in a row where Seattle has gone into San Francisco and given up 500 yards of offense. Brock Purdy throws for almost 370. They run the ball for almost 175. Christian McCaffrey completely dominates our run defense. Our run defense is completely melted down now. We do make plays in the backfield. We do make some stops, but now instead of giving up like a 6 yard run or a 7 yard run, and that's the bad play. No, our bad plays now are 72 yard run on the very first play of the game. And then later in that game, 20 yard runs, 25 yard runs, just over and over and over again. We're not making that second wave tackle, like not making the first wave tackle on Christian McCaffrey, understandable, but now you're not even making the second wave tackle. You're letting him get all the way up to 20, 25 yards down the field before you get to him. And it adds up to the point where even all the negative plays that you do generate lead to a awful game for your run defense. And pass defense, soft zone, soft zone, soft zone. Give it to him on third down, give it to him on third down. You look up at the end of the game, and wow, Brock Purdy almost threw for 400 on you. I pointing out any one individual player in this game on defense right now seems like a complete waste. In terms of like who to blame, Woolen couldn't tackle at all today. Witherspoon obviously got hurt, which that's a genuine setback, and hopefully he's going to be okay. But we saw Woolen just not really step up in his absence at all. I saw Wagner miss some tackles, probably Wagner's worst game of the season. Jordan Brooks, obviously working through some injury stuff. I'm not really going to hate on Jordan Brooks when he's probably playing through a pretty severe injury right now, and he's just doing what he can. Jamal Adams embarrassed himself several times out there today. Jamal Adams, absolute garbage. I think he's making this decision in the offseason even easier for us because it was a tough decision at one point, and now he's kind of making it not tough. I will say, though, that when you put Jamal Adams in coverage 40 yards down the field on Deebo Samuel like that on 3rd and 11, you get what you deserve. So that's on Hurt, that's on Carroll. Why is Jamal Adams in coverage 40 yards down the field like that with the with an opportunity to actually get off the field? Diggs, again, just continues to have no real impact on the games. He just kind of plays okay. We gave up several big passes in this game. The big pass to Kittle, the big pass to Deebo, big pass to Ayuk. So our attempts to protect ourselves deep down the field, complete waste. Like, you run this defense. The reason why this defense is put together the way that it is to prevent the big play, and we don't prevent the big play at all anymore. We gave up a bunch of massive chunk plays, not just chunk plays. We gave up massive chunk plays in this game. So, yeah, the defense, again, 28 points is not the worst. It's not good. Like, 28 points is not cutting it with the investment we have on this defense. But at the same time, I can also look at it objectively and understand that, hey, what do you expect, right? What do you expect at this point? We've seen this defense be bad all season. Why would they be good now? So I'm just kind of numb to it. Although I don't want to get away from the fact that there's a big investment on this defense and they should be better than this. Julian Love got beat like a rented mule several times in this game in coverage, but then he also comes up with an interception and a fumble recovery, or excuse me, a forced fumble, which had both turnovers, had an opportunity to put the Seahawks back in the game. They were not able to capitalize, so I guess I can take the good with the bad there. We need turnovers. We're not really forcing them that well lately. So I guess that Julian Love made up for a lot of the mistakes he made in this game. I don't know if it really works like that, but Julian Love, I mean, at this point, he might be our best safety, and that's not saying much for the guys in front of him, but he's the only safety on this team who's playing, who I really want to bring back next year at this point. Pass rush was okay on some plays, but there was not a lot of consistency. Against that Niners offensive line, you really should be able to do a little better than that. So, not really impressed with that crew overall. And it's just another bad game in a sea of bad games for this really, really embarrassing Seahawks defense. If there's any part of this team that warrants actually getting angry right now, it would be this defense, I would say. Not to say that everything else was perfect, of course. I'm not going to sit here and imply that. But you give up 10 yards per play against the San Francisco 49ers. You give up 10 yards a play to any team in the NFL. You give up 10 yards per play to the AFC Pro Bowl team. You're doing something very, very wrong. So, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm pretty over it at this point. Yeah, just kind of a game where you didn't completely embarrass yourself, but ultimately there was never any doubt. And I'm actually looking at the stat sheet on my TV right now. We actually won time of possession. So anybody trying to say the defense only sucked because of the offense, sorry, you're wrong. And believe me, this embarrassing defensive performance will be revisited many times in the coming weeks because this defense is on pace to make history. And I'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. But the big picture here is the Seahawks have made history. They have lost 4 games in a row for the first time ever under Pete Carroll. And I know this was a very tough schedule during these 4 games. We played 4 teams that may make the playoffs. In fact, I think they're all probably going to make the playoffs. But at the same time, you have to admit that a great head coach should find a way to draw up something, come up with something that allows his team to overcome tough competition and win 1 game out of 4. Pete Carroll has never lost 4 games in a row before. Losing 4 games in a row is something that is, in general, pretty rare in the NFL, especially in years where there's a lot of parity. And we just pulled it off, and we're staring a 5 game losing streak straight in the face. And believe me, we'll talk more about that later this week as well. There were things about our process today that I did like a little bit better than usual, but to speak in a more macro sense, there's still stuff we do that just doesn't really it doesn't really line up with common sense and logic. Like we call a timeout on 3rd and 14 in the red zone, and then on the next play we run a bubble screen to JSN that's clearly not meant to pick up the first down. Like you just take the delay of game. You don't use a timeout. Like, why are you using a timeout if all you're going to do with the timeout is run a bubble screen? Just take the delay of game, run the ball, and kick the field goal, and save the timeout. Maybe we could have used it at the end of the half. I don't know. Probably not. But it's the process that really makes me question things. All the soft zone, a lot of the plays that San Fran made on their offense were when we were running soft zone. And I don't understand the over and over again we just commit to these defensive strategies that clearly don't work, that will never work against this team, and here we are. So I know this was kind of a weird post-game video, but I'm honestly kind of surprised the team showed up to the degree that they did. I'm surprised that Drew Lock looked competent for a decent chunk of that game. I'm surprised we were able to put up 16 points that we earned on offense. And I don't have it in me to get really upset, so I just tried to talk about this game the best that I can. Big picture, though, we are now in a 4 game losing streak, and that's not okay. And people got to answer for that. People have to answer for that, and we will spend plenty of time talking about that during this offseason. See you guys later today in stream for the post game. Go Hawks, and